Is Julian Alfred getting ready to challenge Gabby Thomas and Shericka Jackson over 200? Well, that is the question that I'm going to answer today based on what we just saw this past weekend in Boston, where Julian Alfred ran 36.15 seconds in the 300-meter dash. And on the broadcast, Otto Bolden had said he spoke with Coach Flo, and he was saying that she was going to be running a few more 400s in the 2025 season, preparing her for the World Championships later on in September.
And it was kind of breaking news. I interviewed Julian Alfred and her coach, Edric Florial, towards the end of last year, and he said, oh, by the way, Julian's going to be running 400 open races outdoors next year. And I guess this is sort of a preview, right? To see the Olympic champion running a 300 indoors.
That kind of does tell me that she's going to be putting a very, very strong focus on not only the 200, as a singular event, but also just her speed endurance, her strength overall, and her consistency across the board, more so than we saw in 2024. So Julian Alfred, she of course is the 2024 Olympic champion in the 100-meter dash, 10.72 seconds to get the first ever medal, not only medal, but gold medal, of course, for her country of St. Lucia. She also got the silver medal in the 200 at the Olympics behind Gabby Thomas. She had a legendary 2024 season, and she's trying to really continue things on in 2025, which is where we saw her run the 36.16 seconds in the 300-meter dash at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. That moved her to number 15 all-time indoors in the event. And that performance kind of builds off what she's done throughout her career when talking about the 100 and 200 in terms of those times. Her personal best in the 100-meter dash is already 10.72 seconds, like I said, from that Olympic final in Paris last year. And then in the 200, she's also run a best of 21.86 seconds at the London Diamond League last year as well, behind, I think, Gabby Thomas finishing second in that race. So Julian Alfred has the chops over 100, over 200, 21.73, slightly windy at the NCAA championships in 2023. Could have been the NCAA record, but she has the chops across the board. But to be competitive with the likes of Gabby Thomas, with the likes of Shericka Jackson, or any other women who are going to be pushing the pace in that 200, she's of course going to have to step things up a little bit to make sure she's really getting competitive there. But let's take a look quickly at the landscape of the women's 200 right now and who some of the top players are. Like I said, Shericka Jackson, Gabby Thomas, Abby Steiner. She's been injured the past couple years, but she, of course, is going to be coming back into the fold. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, she probably won't be focusing in on the 200, but, she, of course, was previously in the fold. We have Mackenzie Long, who's also young, rising, definitely going to be one who's growing along with Julian Alfred over the next couple years. Like I said, Julian with that 21.86. Christine Mboma, unfortunately, she can't run the 200 anymore. Brittany Brown, Olympic bronze medalist, right? Tamara Clark, Shakira Richardson, they're, of course, going to be going up and down. When we're talking about U.S. women in the 200, it's very, very stacked. But, you have those two names in the fold. Favor Ofili for Nigeria. She's, of course, been a consistent mainstay over the past couple years since coming out of LSU, made the Olympic final last year. Dina Asher-Smith trains with Julian Alfred. Elaine Thompson-Herah, probably, I don't think she's going to be in the 200-meter mix. We'll see her in the 100, hopefully. And then a couple other women as well. But for the most part, the two main women that Julian Alfred is definitely going to have to fight through are Shericka Jackson and Gabby Thomas. Yes, again, I want to give shout outs to all the other women, but I think those are the two main players. For the most part, everyone would say that Shericka Jackson has been the top 200-meter runner over the past couple years, and then Gabby Thomas has been number 2. Since Elaine Thompson-Herah, has kind of, taken a step back after the Olympic Games. So let's take a look at Shericka Jackson and Gabby Thomas to get a pulse on what they have done in the 400, but just in terms of their talent. Gabby Thomas, of course, personal best of 49.68 seconds in the 400, which she ran just in 2023, so not too long ago. She also has a 50.2. She has a 50.37. Also, on the relay, she's had a couple strong relay splits where she split 49.30 at the Olympic Games. She has a 49.44, I think, from her time back at Harvard. She split 49.58 as well. So Gabby Thomas has some consistency, at least individual performance in the 49.6, and then some consistent splits in the 49-second range as well. Shericka Jackson is the exact same way. Shericka Jackson, 400-meter personal best of 49.47 seconds, which she ran all the way back in 2019. So we, of course, know her career as a 400-meter runner. 2015 Olympic bronze medal, 2016 Olympic bronze medal, 2019 Olympic bronze medal. She has the medals when talking about the 400 before she even dipped her toes into the 100, 200 on the global stage at the Olympics and the World Championships. But along with that, personal best of 49.47 from Doha. She's run 49.78, 49.83, 49.85, 49.99. She has a lot of consistency in the 49-second range. And again, this is from years ago, before we know her as the current Shericka Jackson. So in my opinion, she's more than capable of being a 48-second runner, but she just hasn't dipped her toes into the 400 like she used to. Along with that, she also has some consistent splits. She's run 49.4, she's run 49.47, as well as 49.9, amongst a few other splits as well. So Shericka Jackson, Gabby Thomas, they are 200, 400 runners, and even Shericka is like 100, 200, 400 runner, right? Just like some athletes we've seen in the past, whether it's like an Allison Felix or even a Florence Griffith-Joyner, or even dating back to Merlene Ottey at her time in the NCAA when she was at Nebraska. She competed in all three events. So these women are triple threats and are very capable of bringing their talents from the 400 and interjecting it into the 200, which we see with their performances of 21.6 from Gabby, as well as 21.4 from Shericka Jackson. Julian Alfred, now she of course is an amazing 100-meter sprinter, 200-meter sprinter, but to be able to get that 200-meter time a little bit farther down and maybe be a lot more competitive with those two women, especially in the second half of the race, she's going to have to improve on that speed endurance and some of that strength. 400, that's probably what Coach Flo is thinking about, and that's going to come into play hopefully in 2025. What has Julian done? Well, Julian, she doesn't have, a strong personal best when talking about the 400-meter dash. She only has run all the way back into high school, and I think it was a time of 58 seconds, and we're talking about 2017, 58.29 seconds all the way back in 2017. She also has 59.36, again, all the way back in 2018. So we're talking about her time in high school when she was competing in Jamaica. So these are essentially not relevant for the most part when talking about Julian Alfred right now. And I would take these performances with a grain of salt. These aren't going to be indicative of what she's capable of right now. But when talking about the 4x4, Julian Alfred actually does have a few marks that she has to her name, specifically from the NCAA when she was competing at Texas during her time down there in Austin, right? So she has a mark of 51.63 from back in 2023. Nothing too spectacular, but she also has a couple others, right? 51.97, also from 2022. She has a mark of 50.97. I think this is actually inaccurate. So this is from 2024. They ran a different order here, for this relay. This was the, Team International, Coach Flo, their group down in Texas. But I think Julian Alfred on this relay actually had run either the second or the third leg, and she split about 51.3 or 51.4. So not the 50.9. I would have loved to seen that, but a little bit different split there. So still in the 51 second range. No mark here. 51.9. So for the most part, you can get an indication that Julian Alfred, in terms of splits, she was able to split 51 seconds relatively consistently throughout her time at Texas, and then also into her pro career last year at least, right? That probably tells me she's been able to run at least around the 52 second range in the 400. Yes, we know that she's not a 400 meter runner like a Shericka Jackson or a Gabby Thomas, right? She doesn't have those chops, but I wouldn't say 52 seconds is anything to slouch at. When you look at athletes like a Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, like an Elaine Thompson-Herah, both of them are legendary 100, 200 runners, but their 400 meter bests, I think, are like 54 or 55, right? Something in that range where they're not absolutely amazing at 400. Julian Alfred, being able to split 51 seconds consistently, probably in the 52 second range, that to me shows that she has some good strength to build off of. And going into 2025, if she's going to dip her toes a little bit more into the 400s, that means that she's definitely going to be making an impact in her 200. Now, what does that actually mean in terms of helping her 200 this year and looking forward? Well, I think that she was already on pace to run something like a 21.7. Personal best of 21.86 from last year at the London Diamond League. I think that going into this year, building off what she already showed in the 300, that 36.16, now if she's going to be dipping her toes a little bit more into the 400, I think she'll be able to get to a 21.7 low time, right? Now, I'm not saying she's going to be running that consistently. Maybe she's going to get a lot more consistent in the 21.8 range, and then she'll maybe have one or two performances down in the 21.7s. Remember, she's going to be balancing things with the 100 and the 200. So I do think that she's capable of it. But when we're talking about Gabby Thomas, Shericka Jackson, to be competitive with them, it's definitely going to take 21.6, 21.5, 21.4. Now, granted, Gabby Thomas doesn't run 21.6s all the time. Gabby Thomas doesn't run 21.7s all the time, but she is very consistent in the 21.8, 21.7 range, right? She is able to command a field, when she's running those performances. Shericka Jackson is on a whole nother level where she is consistently running 21.4s, but if Julian Alfred really wants to get competitive amongst those two women and kind of separate herself from the rest of the field, Mackenzie Long, Abby Steiner, those women who have run 21.8s, those women who have run 21.7s, Julian Alfred dipping her toes into the 400, I think that's going to have a big, big impact on what she actually displays in the 200. And on top of that, I think it's also going to help her 100. 10.72 seconds. Remember, she won the Olympic gold medal there, but she didn't have the fastest time in the world, right? Sha'Carri Richardson still ran 10.71 last year. But I think that Julian Alfred is more than capable of getting into those 10.6s like Shericka Jackson, like Sha'Carri Richardson have, right? I think that she does have a lot more control in terms of her ability to compete amongst the women in the 100-meter field where she can win on any given day. But the 200, it's a lot more competitive. Gabby Thomas, Shericka Jackson, those two, in my opinion, have kind of separated themselves as long as they're both healthy from the rest of the field. Yes, Abby Steiner, she'll probably come back into the mix. Elaine Thompson-Herro, if she gets healthy, who knows what may, happen there. But Julian Alfred has the opportunity to really be competitive amongst these two top women that we've seen over the past couple years. Now, do I think she's going to run 21.4? I don't know about all that, right? But I do like her potential when talking about the event. And I really do feel like Julian Alfred kind of gives me a lot of parallels with someone like, I mentioned Gwen Torrence, or even someone like Carmelita Jeter in the previous years, and even like a Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, where you saw that they were very dominant in the 100 meters, kind of in the first parts of their career. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce really dominant, right, from 2008 all the way up to 2011, 2012. 2012, she actually dipped her toes into the 200, at least on the global stage for the first time at the Olympic Games, and got the silver medal. She then followed that up in 2013 and got the gold medal at the World Championships. Of course, we saw what she did in 2021 at the Olympic Games, got 4th place. 2022, she got the silver medal. Carmelita Jeter kind of had a similar path in a sense where 100 meters was, her true focus and her true, at least, display of consistency on the global stage, where bronze medal at the World Championships in 2007, bronze medal in 2009, 2011, she gets the gold medal in the 100, but she also dips her toes into that 200, and she eventually gets that silver medal at the World Championships. Remember, behind Veronica Campbell-Brown. Then in 2012, also qualifies for the Olympic team for the United States. Carmelita Jeter gets a bronze medal at the Olympics behind Allison Felix, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and then, Carmelita in 3rd. So you're looking at some of these women who were very consistent at the 100, kind of had a strong command of the field for the most part, but then were able to really show their powers at 200. Now, it's a little bit different where, Julian Alfred already has a silver medal in the 200, from the Olympic Games. That's also why I kind of thought about Gwen Torrence, where Gwen Torrence was a double threat from back in 1988. She made the Olympic team in both the 100 and the 200. Made the final, I think, in both events as well. But she didn't actually get a medal there. 1991 at the World Championships, eventually got double silver at the Worlds there. 1992, she got the gold medal in the 200 actually, and then she just kept rolling. 93, 95, 96, right? She just kept getting medals after medals after medals in both events. Listen, Julian Alfred is going to be a mainstay, and I'm really excited to see how things kind of play out over the next couple years. But this 300 indoors really gave me a lot of motivation for what she's going to be doing outdoors. And if Coach Flo is saying she's going to be dipping her toes more into the 400s to help her build up that strength, that speed endurance, that's going to pay off dividends in the 200 and probably make her a little more competitive, or at least get a little bit closer to the Shericka Jacksons and Gabby Thomases we know. So let me know what you think about Julian Alfred. Do you think that she's going to improve upon her 200-meter best this year? And do you think that she's going to be able to be really competitive with a healthy Shericka Jackson and Gabby Thomas at a World Championships later on this year? Let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Be back again next time. Thanks for watching, y'all.